Hello, once again, back again. We are the Old Man Grappling Hour with another installment. Today's a special day, Sonny.
It's always a special
We have
day.
been excited about this one for a very, very long time. Today, we get to have our very special friend. The folks at home have heard her say her name many, many times, Miss Stacey from LeHeal. Super excited.
Welcome to our
Thank you.
parking garage here.
Exactly. Our $1 million facility.
Yes.
She may or may
Thank
not
you.
have helped us set up for the last half an hour. She
All
was
guests must be put to work.
Of course. This
Anything
is
to help. Anything to help.
definitely not the back of a moving vehicle. Stacey is safe. We promise you she'll be returned to her
Yes,
family.
she will be returned.
Not
for
a ransom
healthy
note.
ransom.
But as you may or may not know, Stacey is the co-founder and chief operating officer of LeHeal Biogenix. Stacey Heald. I do. We have a thing with names. Stacey Heald. I even practiced it 5
You
times.
have a thing with names.
But we're super happy to have Stacey on the show today to explain to us some peptides and their usage and some of the other things that they offer at LeHeal. So without further ado, Sonny, got anything you want to add?
My first question would be, because, you know, the running joke every time we talk about the sponsors, when he starts talking about peptides, and what's the one you always mention?
Well, let's let her explain herself. Let's let her explain herself real
He's
first.
getting right to the question.
I have absolutely no clue
Let's
what
let her-
he's talking about.
let's let her-
when
let's-
he says peptide.
let's let
I think of
Stacey
the
give us a
ocean
little-
tide. I don't know.
Let's let Stacey give us a little background information
Yeah.
first. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little about what LeHeal offers and what your goal was when we opened the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that you're excited to jump right into it. But LeHeal Biogenix, we focus on non-surgical approach to healing. That includes stem cell therapy, peptide therapy, and laser therapy. We've actually expanded a lot of our treatment services to also really focus on anti-aging, which just really was a natural progression of the services we provide.
Awesome. Yeah, I've used all of those services at
Yes,
one
you
time or
have.
another. Miss Stephanie with the laser machine is we
Yes.
love Stephanie.
And what
Stephanie.
Yeah,
People
he
don't
comes
actually
in when
know.
he comes in when he should go to the emergency room. He says, "Can you fix me?"
I'm interested to learn about the anti-aging stuff because I found out that you're 86 years old and
Yes.
you look phenomenal. And I would like to be able to look like that when I'm 86.
Absolutely.
I don't get to be the pretty one today. We got Stacey in the room. I'm set. They put baby in the corner today.
Yes.
So So how long have you guys been open for? How long has the business been operating for?
Yeah. So we officially opened our first location in September of 22. So it's actually been only a little over a year. We have 4 locations in Lakewood Ranch, Lakeland, Brandon, and Tampa.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been to the 2 of them, by the way. I've been to the Lakewood Ranch and the Tampa location, I believe. But
Yeah, he hasn't found us in Lakeland.
not in Lakeland, which is funny because this is where my gym's at. I'm on that side of town more often than Tampa. But anyway, so
I think a couple of my students have visited you, right?
In Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm probably going to be soon. I did have a shoulder injury for a while, but it just kind of went away. That's how I heal myself: is I ignore problems until they
Just hope they go
go
away.
away.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But I would love to know. I'm still dying to know what is a peptide.
Sure.
I have no clue
Yeah.
what that
Yeah.
even means.
Yeah, and a lot of people really don't. And peptides essentially, everything that we do, just to kind of back up a little bit, everything that we do at LeHeal Biogenix is really focusing on harnessing your own body's ability to heal itself. That's through cellular regeneration. It's through human growth hormone and stimulating that naturally. So if you think about how amazing our body is and how we have the ability to repair, regenerate, and function, we're just really harnessing that and helping to supplement it. So peptides, they are a little bit difficult to understand because it's a combination of initials and numbers, right? You've got CJC 1295, BPC 157. It makes it a little bit challenging to understand if you're a novice and haven't been in the industry. But peptides essentially are chains of amino acids. And you have peptides in your body that help to produce different functions in your body that may have to do with sleep, building muscle mass, repair, sexual health, skin health. Essentially, all the functions in our body are programmed through these peptides that you naturally produce. But just like many other things, as we age and we put wear and tear on our body or our overall environmental factors, we are diminished in some of those. So by doing peptide therapy, you can naturally supplement and stimulate improvements in those body functions.
Are peptides a pill, a shot? Or like
Actually peptides can be administered topical. You can do it oral, or you can do it through injections.
Oh, all three.
Many of them come in multiple forms. Some also even come with like a nasal spray.
Oh, wow.
But the best absorption rate in your body is going to be injection form.
Okay.
Subcutaneously.
Subcutaneous.
Right?
Yeah. So it's the tiny little needles, not the big scary ones, the tiny ones.
Yeah. I've been using peptides in one way or another for a while now, and I love the peptides.
Honestly, he goes on and on about it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of jealous because, I've been wanting to try something because, just the nature of our job. I mean, I'm 51, he's 47. And think about it, we go and teach jujitsu every day, and for the most part, once you've done jujitsu for a long time, it's very, very difficult to watch other people do jujitsu without jumping in yourself.
Right.
And so we end up probably training 5-6 times a week.
Oh, every day. Yeah.
And as you get older, the recovery for that, it's just like, I get home and I just pop Advil like candy.
Right.
And I know that that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely going to be looking for something a little bit more, more healthy for my body and more long-term than something like Advil.
Yeah. And, and peptides, really, a lot of them started off in the athletic arena in the industry. Like TB500 was one of the first ones that became popular with athletes.
TB500?
TB500.
I always thought it was TD. Now I like that. I like it now.
Yes, TB500.
Stacey Heald has corrected me. Right? Yes. Stacey Heald. Sorry, folks.
It really started off with athletes and the ability to recover and regenerate cells and repair. It has that benefit to it. Now, BPC 157 is one of your most popular for same thing, cellular regeneration and healing, but also that athletic recovery. So, we see athletes across the different gyms that really, they boast on the benefits of BPC 157 because like yourself, they're out there on a regular basis. Now they have the ability to get back in it a lot faster and a lot easier.
Yeah, I've been using it. When I injured my elbow, and we made a joke about that before. I mean, first of all, I had a massive tear in my elbow. I didn't tear the bicep. I tore the forearm muscle. I forget what it's called, but down on the bottom side. And I mean, my arm was mangled. And
mangled.
Yeah, mangled. They literally, when I walked in the room, I said, "Can you fix me?" There was a gasp in the air. Why didn't you go to the emergency room?
The bone is sticking out.
Well, we also wanted to confirm what he want fixed. Was it your elbow you're talking about?
What else is going on with you? Exactly. But the TD500 was great. TB500 was great. It actually helped to regenerate the tissue. Yeah. It's more for like tendons and things and whatnot. It was when it's breaking through. Then I had some of the
and there's two differences too. Like your TB500, a lot of athletes will use it for long-term injuries because it's really effective with scar tissue. So when you have an older injury that you've had that scar tissue develop, a lot of the times the TB500 would be helpful for that. And then if it's an acute injury, supplement it with BPC 157. BPC 157 also has a lot of benefits for gastrointestinal health. We've had some patients come in simply because of that.
Wow.
They weren't looking for the athletic performance. They were just looking for improvements in their gastrointestinal.
It's funny that I suffered from acid reflux for a long time, for many years. And I didn't even realize when I was taking the BPC-7 because I was just taking it for recovery.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing for recovery. And over the course of the last year or so, I haven't had an acid reflux attack, and I'm drinking coffee and red sauce. I haven't had a reflux attack in a long time. It really helped to regenerate my stomach. Isn't BP 157, isn't a part of it actually made from the intestinal fluids, from the inner wall of the stomach lining?
Yeah, essentially with all of your peptides, it's either made from a natural source or it can be made from a synthetic source.
Right.
And you've got other ones in understanding what it is you're trying to accomplish, where you have the deficiency, and then deciding what peptide's going to work best for you. Many people do a regimen where they rotate as well, because with most peptides, you'll stay on them for about 3 months. then you want to take a break because you want your body naturally producing it, not fully dependent on that supplementation.
So you would call it maybe a cycle?
Yeah, they cycle. Okay. Yeah, another popular one is your CJC 1295. Helps to build muscle mass. But also the benefits of, with building muscle mass, you're losing weight. But one of the best benefits is sleep. So those that have had difficulty with sleep, which sleep goes straight into recovery, right? That have, they take the CJC 1295. My husband took it, raved about it. When he had to take that calendar off, he was counting down of, can I start again? But really for him, he had great benefits with the muscle building and the losing weight and just overall feeling. But what he loved about it was the sleep.
I actually take the CJC 1295 too, and it's amazing.
What would be the difference between something like CJC 95 and testosterone therapy?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I'll give you that
good question that I wrote earlier in the week. But no big deal, Sonny. Go ahead. Take it home.
Peptide therapy and hormone therapy are similar in the fact that you're utilizing a substance to be able to help processes, right? But the functionality is different, where peptides are those chains of amino acids that stimulate your body to produce those physiological functions, right? Or to produce natural human growth hormone, where peptide or hormone therapy rather is introducing a substance to mimic the deficiency, to mimic that hormone. So it's not to get your body to produce that. It's really to mimic what you're missing out on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because I initially started, that's a good question that I was interested about too, because I had been taking testosterone. I took testosterone for years and years and years. And not saying I liked it, not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying that I had some adverse effects on the testosterone over the course of the long haul. I took it for 10 plus years at a time. And it got to a point where it was very difficult to maintain the very delicate structure between the estrogen and the testosterone, and how you take the ebb and flow as one goes up and one follows the rainbow with that. So I got off the testosterone and switched strictly to the peptides. And it's amazing how much better I feel with that, complementing it with a good diet and some other supplementation, just maintaining the peptides and keeping my body feeling at its most peak has made my testosterone levels go up naturally,
right?
And it's on its own. So I really, I don't ever like to say testosterone's bad, because I know lots of people take it. And I still think about it myself.
The reason why I was asking is because I actually take TRT. I do like 125 milligrams like every 6 days or every 7 days, something like that. And what I'm wondering is if I were to try the CJC, what was it again?
CJC 1295.
Yeah. I'm never going to remember that. If I were to try something like that, would I need to get off the testosterone? No. Okay, so I could just do both.
Correct.
And how would that work in terms of weight gain? Because I'm actually trying to lose more weight. I'm down like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like get down to another 20 to like 205. Well, another 15 to 205. Yeah. So would that aid in losing weight, or would the extra muscle be adding weight? You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, you're going to be at a leaner mass, so basically you're building muscle mass, which obviously if you're working out all the time, you already have the muscle mass, but you're also trimming down into a leaner state. So you are burning fat, so like I said, when my husband was on it, I would estimate that in his first cycle, he probably lost about 30 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, and part of it too, you feel better, right? So you're a little bit more active than normal. But, it's really just helping those body functions that were, deficient.
Yeah. And then when we talk about the big picture of how the body actually functions, the metabolism of the body actually functions, the more lean muscle mass you put on, the less fat you put, the less fat you're going to accrue, because your body becomes at its highest metabolic rate. I noticed a lot. I leaned up a lot on the CJC 1295 because of that. So, a couple more questions I have in particular. Can you explain a little bit, because we might have touched on this and I might have missed it exactly, but I know a lot of people that rave about the BPC 157, like literally that talk about it as a miracle drug. And I agree with them simply because I have experienced the results from the BPC 157. But can you tell us specifically the ways in which that reacts on the body in order to do these miracle recoveries in a way that makes the body function at its highest levels?
Yeah, well, a little disclaimer: I'm not a doctor.
Right.
That's okay. We're not really.
We actually talked about that. We wanted Stacey. We wanted Stacey.
And I am not here to diagnose or treat anybody. We'll just throw that out there too. But really, it comes down to the cellular regeneration. So in order to be able to recover, you need your cells to be able to repair, right, and regenerate. And by helping your body, supplementing your body's ability to do that faster than it would without, is really what's aiding in that.
Yeah, I know, in the jiu-jitsu community, Tom Blast, we've got tons and tons of people that are in the area, in the community, and jiu-jitsu guys that talk about BPC 157 and other athletes by that matter. I am baffled a lot of times that some of these things are considered illegal. Yeah. Because it has nothing to do with anything other than like helping your body recover.
Right.
There's no performance there's no performance enhancement at all.
When you say illegal in sports or illegal in
most of the, you can't use BPC 157 UFC. You can't use it in most professional athletes.
It's more of like a prohibited.
It's a prohibited element of essentially
it's not
something
illegal though. Like I could go out and use it and it's,
correct.
If I had it in my car when I got pulled over by the police, I'm not going to get arrested.
No, right. We have prescriptions.
Maybe not for that.
Yeah, there's many other things that you could get arrested for. Like getting pulled over by the police, Sonny. The least of your concerns is the PP 157 in your glove box. But it's, from my recollection and from what I know, I mean, as of now, it's very, I've talked a lot about the peptides. The CGC 1295, they're a little bit more concerned about, taking the right steps and doing things. But from what I heard, like BP 157, like it's relatively doesn't affect your body in nearly any negative ways.
Right.
Right. I mean,
right. Yeah. And when you think about, what you're doing on a daily basis, right? And a lot of people don't think about it down to a cellular level. When you're working out, no matter what sport you're in, and you're putting that wear and tear on your body, you might think about it of your muscles hurt or your joints hurt, your bones hurt, but think about that impact that you're putting on your cells. And that's what you're helping your body to do, is to rebuild and replenish from a cellular level.
Yeah. I love the idea of that. I mean, I would honestly tell anybody, if even if you don't want to do TRT, you have some concerns about TRT, if you're concerned a little bit about the CJC with 1295, because there's the idea that there's the what do they call it? The human growth hormone things that kind of, sometimes these things get in people's heads.
Right.
I don't believe it. I think the science is a little bit clear that it's not as big of a deal as you might like to think. It might people put emphasis on, but from my knowledge, the BP 157 is almost harmless. Like you could put a whole vial of that in your leg and be cool the next day and not have any problems with it. Now it's not recommended, please, the folks at home. I am not a doctor, but it's relatively low impact on your body in general. Yeah. Yeah.
And you do require an evaluation by a provider to make sure that you don't have any, concerns that would be relative to using any type of peptides. And then of course, they'll give you the recommended dosage, and you do want to follow the dosage guidelines.
The folks at home, the views of the Old Man Grappling now do not necessarily represent LeHeal Biogenix.
Do not start overdosing on peptides.
So is this kind of thing that insurance can cover? Or is it all elective?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, insurance does not cover a lot of the procedures that we provide.
Gotcha. What else do we have in here?
Moving right along, like LeHeal definitely offers peptide usage. There's a great deal of peptides that you guys talk about, but there's another aspect of LeHeal aside from the layers that we can speak about a little bit too in a few minutes, but primarily you guys do a lot of stem cell work too, right? Yeah. So I'm curious a little bit about stem cells, because you hear that word all the time, and it's something that was going on for a very, very long time.
Back in the 90s, early 2000s,
stem cells have been
thing,
it was taboo, and there was just all this like
you're killing babies,
craziness and stuff.
People still think that today.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about where we've started with stem cells and where we've come to now in the modern world of stem cells.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, stem cell research started, if I recall correctly, I think it was back in even the 1800s with some zoologists. This is where they were looking at it from an animal standpoint. But it really became popular, like you said, 1980s is when they first started cultivating it in labs and, your embryonic stem cells. And then it was in the 90s when the big controversy hit, right? And
I believe it was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. It definitely back when we were in high school, right?
Right.
Not me.
No.
You already graduated. We were in high school. But that's when the big controversy came out because they were cultivating embryonic cells in the lab, which in essence, those cells could develop into a human, right? So it was more of an ethical dilemma. And still to this day, a lot of people confuse stem cell therapy with embryonic cells. You have embryonic cells means that it comes from the fetus, right? And that's not allowed in the United States. Because of the ethical concerns and everything involved with it. But in the United States, you can do stem cell therapy, and stem cells are available in fat cells, in bone marrow, or through donors. And donors it's essentially the afterbirth. When you deliver birth and coming from the umbilical cord, Wharton's jelly is where those cells actually come from. They used to just throw it in the garbage, and here they started to realize over the years in doing all the research of the healing powers of stem cells. Essentially think about how your body is designed again. I like to say stem cells are our maintenance crew. So in your body, you've got your wear and tear on a regular basis, and it's your stem cells that are going in there to repair that area. The more pressure you put on your body, or as we get older, our maintenance crew slows down. So you can utilize stem cell therapy to bring in additional cells to really help stimulate and help that maintenance crew to do the repair.
So this is interesting. Wharton's jelly. I just looked it up. It's jelly is a gelatinous substance within the umbilical cord. That's crazy. I've never heard of that before.
Yes.
I have a kid.
Well, I mean, there was.
Yes, and you threw that in the garbage, right?
There was. I mean, the placenta in general and all of the Wharton's jelly, they're very nutrient rich in and of itself. So there's lots of it's very regenerative properties and all of that thing.
Yeah. Well, our entire body's made up of cells, right? So your cells then created your tissues, your muscles, your everything that makes you today started with cells. The beauty of stem cells is they're blank cells. They have the ability to proliferate, which means copy DNA and divide and grow and form into what they need to be. So that's why you can utilize them for acute conditions, chronic conditions, even neurological conditions. And they've had clinical studies and research out there for years. Still, again, most of it's not covered by insurance. Right. They have made small advancements with wound healing. Some of that is covered, more of a patch topical for helping with long-term wounds that will be covered by Medicare.
So quick question, and forgive me if you don't know the answer, because I'm just kind of shooting in the dark here. But so in my right knee, I only have 60% of an ACL, right? They took out 40% of it when they did a meniscus surgery on me. They found out that 40% of my ACL was just kind of like balled up doing nothing, so they removed it. Is that the kind of stem cell, the kind of thing that can actually help me get more of my ACL back growing again?
Yeah. And of course, the providers would look to see, and we're completely honest with patients if they're kind of past the point, if they need surgery or if something's not attached correctly. But yeah, conditions with ligament tears are very common. I had a meniscus tear in my left knee and had the procedure myself. And, I went through physical therapy, tried to do the self-healing and working on the repair, and just wasn't able to get there. And, so what it does is you're not going in and doing a surgical attachment of the area. You're putting the cells in there to regenerate. And, so it's not a short-term fix. It's working to repair.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And is that the kind of thing where you would inject into the area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I had my elbow done, they put stem cells directly into my elbow. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's funny. my elbow on this side is actually better now than my elbow on my right side. This was always been kind of like my wonky elbow. And then I did this one up and I was like, well, at least now I got one good elbow. Now my left elbow is better than my right elbow. And this is the elbow that I had the freaking catastrophic injury.
Yeah, it's funny. Meniscus surgeries are rampant throughout the gym.
Oh, yeah.
I've had 3 of them. It's crazy.
Yeah. You're a favorite at the doctor.
Essentially what the stem cells will do, they'll actually attach
Correct.
to the tissue that's already there, that's damaged, and then work to regenerate itself.
Yeah. So essentially what they do, in that formation, right, your cells are in there, they're duplicating, they're, working to create that scaffolding. So it starts to create that scaffolding of the repair. And then you have a number of other growth factors in there as well that is really stimulating that production. But yes, it's working to actually repair and attach that area.
What would you say is the most miraculous thing that you've seen as a result of, peptides or stem cells? Like something that you said to yourself, oh, there's no way we're going to fix this guy, but let's try.
Yeah.
And then, wow, what a recovery.
Quite honestly, it comes to, depending on the injury. So the question before was, is it a direct injection? So if you're dealing with a joint injury, something of that nature, typically we're going to address that through a direct injection to that area. So we have the concentration there. But some of the most amazing results that we have seen are those that have come in for some systemic treatments. We had a patient that came in for tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears.
I have that. Holy shit.
And
sign
I really,
me up.
I wasn't sure because our providers don't inject directly into the inner ear,
Right.
so I wasn't sure on, number one, the provider's take on it and how we would administer it. And we had administered high dose through IV, and through IV administration, your body knows where to send those cells.
Right.
So within a couple weeks time, he was indicating that he was hearing sounds that he didn't hear before, that it was just record breaking improvements.
Wow. This is something that I'm seriously interested in because this has only developed in the last year.
Yes.
For me. And I have no idea what everything that I've read, I've found that it could be stress. It could be any number of things that it seems like it's all mental.
Yeah.
Psychological or something. So I've, kind of been like discouraged because every time I ask my doctor about it, they're just like,
Yeah.
nothing we can do.
I mean, I'm amazed too of that, to be honest with you, how many times I've gone to doctors and they're just like, it's like I've got chronic pain in my neck that's migraine that no one really knows. I get migraines that flatline me. I'm just kind of coming out of one right now. And I can't tell you how many doctors have been like, well, could be this, could be that. We'll just see.
Yeah.
Good luck, sir.
Yeah, but have a good day. Make sure you see the nurse up front.
So what was the actual treatment? Was it stem cell? Was it peptide?
It was the use of exosomes. So when you look at stem cell therapy, you have your mesenchymal cells, you have your exosomes, and through its IV administration, and also depending on other areas, we can further supplement that with laser therapy. So another common condition that patients come in and their doctors have basically told them there is no answer is neuropathy. That's where you have nerve damage that results in tingling in your hands, your feet.
My mother has neuropathy pretty bad,
And very common that they've tried almost everything, and the doctors have basically said there's nothing that you can do. So we've had great results with our patients with neuropathy of combining actually all 3 treatment modalities. Everything we do is synergistic and helps together. But, we do IV administration of exosomes along with peptides that help with that cellular regeneration, and then with laser therapy. So with the laser, we can actually do a laser to the areas of concern prior to the IV administration. So we already sent the signal to the brain and stimulated the cells in that area. So when we do the IV, they're naturally going to that area.
That's amazing. It's funny. There's another guy at my gym, a black belt, and he was telling me he has tinnitus and he's had it for a while. And, he might have gotten it a different way. I used to be in music when I was younger, played in bands and stuff, and always played my music loud in the car. And I think that's probably something to do with it. But for him, he's been a soldier for a long time.
Yes.
And, fighting in a lot of wars.
Yes.
And so, one of these special forces guys. And that's what he was telling me. He's got the tinnitus, and there's been nothing he can do about it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell him about this. Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, just the fact that there's light at the end of the tunnel excites me.
Yeah, I mean the I've seen and heard so many great things about stem cells and how it's such an emerging science, and there's so much out there that still could be cured by. I mean, and the whole concept of the idea of putting these little worker bees directly into your body. I mean, stem cells create humans. That's what they do. And then when we
Right.
put them in your body, they just go out and they find the wrong things going on, and then they go and fix them.
Don't say that like that, because we're going to get protested about that.
Again, the views, the views of the old man Grappa now do not necessarily represent LeHeal Biogenix.
Again, to the disclaimer. But yeah, essentially, you have the use of stem cell for long-term diseases, for acute injuries. But then we have a portion of our patients that come in for ongoing anti-aging. We have patients that come in every 4 or 6 weeks for IV administration.
Can you reverse the aging process at all?
That's what they say.
That's what I
Because I
heard.
need some help with that.
Yeah, I'm getting there too. So that's another question I wanted to ask about. So I know when I had my stem cells done, they were localized. They were directly into the actual injury site. You also offer the IV bags that you talked a little bit about, and if you spoke on a little bit more, I apologize. But I'd like to get to some of the differences of, first of all, the different types of stem cells, if there's different stem cells are utilized for each version of it, and some of the different usages that you would get, or some of the benefits you would get from localized versus the IV treatment that goes to the whole body.
Yeah. So, when you're doing through a systemic approach, obviously it is going to spread throughout the area. So if you have an injury like you did, you certainly want to be able to get the concentrated cells in there. Your mesenchymal cells, those that come from the Wharton's jelly, those are your stem cells. And those are the blank ones that are going to form and work to regenerate. The other cells that I mentioned are your exosomes. And, a lot of people think of the mesenchymal cells, the mesenchymal, but really their cohorts over here on the side are, really magical. There's a lot of clinical research that goes along with exosomes. They're the communicators. So if you think about, cells, these are the little computers over on the side working along with those mesenchymal cells, indicating what they need to do and helping from a programming standpoint. So years ago, and it's just interesting to see on how everything has advanced. And remember, we used to, just discard the umbilical cord. And then we realized, wait a minute, this can actually save lives and help people. And, but then they'd extract the mesenchymal cells from the umbilical cord, from that Wharton's jelly, and then they'd get rid of everything else. And then they realized, well, wait a minute, those exosomes are also very powerful. And, so started understanding more and how they work together for those areas. And then, from there, then they've kind of further examined and understood all of the other growth factors that are involved. And, so that's really working with top-notch donor tissue banks, I guess. We're very selective on where we get it from, making sure from a quality standpoint. But understanding...
Yeah, they're
really,
not using your stem cells.
No.
Sorry, I apologize.
But, it really depends on what it is that we're trying to achieve. When you're looking at more neurological, you have to go through IV administration. Just in when you're looking at nerves take a long time to heal. So it's going to take longer than the traditional results of, say, an elbow or a shoulder or a knee.
Yeah, that's interesting too, the different processes between the two. I like the idea that and the thought process behind that, and the reason why you would give the enzyme, I can't remember the name, but I'm never going to get it right. But the
exosomes.
Exosomes, right? You put it through the IV treatment is because it actually works in a more systemic manner, which focuses on the neurological impulses, some of the nerve endings that actually get the body doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like it goes in there and it says, well, hold on a second. Like, let's reboot your system.
Yeah.
Put some new data in there, make sure we're working things correctly the way it's supposed to be working.
Yeah.
And
we had a gentleman, very sweet patient of ours, and he, was a victim of a break and entry. And, as a result of that, and he had gunshot wounds and things of that nature, but he lost all feeling and he was wheelchair bound. And that was one of the first miracles that I think we, experienced when we opened. And, he did the IV administration. And like I said, the nerve regrowth takes time. And depending on the severity of the issue is how many cc's you need. but he started having sensations. He could feel the temperature of the water in the shower.
Oh, that's great.
Where he could feel the water hitting his legs. So he started having sensations that he didn't have, in a very long time.
And has that progressed even more over time?
Yeah, he's continued to have improvement. Some of the other regimens, kind of fell off because he was doing so well, and he actually got himself a really good job. And, so he hasn't been in quite a while. But
Sure.
The last time that we saw him, he was progressing very well.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a third benefit or a third treatment you guys offer. I'm sure you offer tons of treatments too. I know you guys have a bunch of things going on, but the laser treatment I'm a little bit intrigued by too, because I've had some sessions with Stephanie, and I love Miss Stephanie.
Yes.
If you're watching at home, we love you, Steph. We'll have you on one day too, just because you're a riot. But
I tried to get her to come to this one. But
if we had an extra microphone, if we had a fourth microphone, we would have Stephanie. But tell us a little bit about the science and what's going on with the actual laser treatment and some of the benefits of that too.
Yeah, it is a class 4 medical grade laser. And essentially, it's the laser itself, it's cold, it doesn't exude heat. But what it does is it works its way down to work extracellular and intracellular. And essentially what it does is it stimulates the cellular activity in that area. So think about when you were younger, you fell off a bike, right? And you start to get that scab. Well, that scab came because all of your cells rushed to that area for a repair. So when we're doing a laser treatment, we're sending cells to that area. We're stimulating that cellular activity. So we're kind of waking them up in a way. But what it does is it helps to reduce inflammation, improve circulation, getting good blood flow in that area. So you're helping with the overall healing. The laser therapy, honestly, I knew it was synergistic in using it along with stem cell when we, were first opening and, read the studies on how it works. And if you think about it, it just makes sense, right? If you're working on a cellular level from a stem cell procedure and trying to work on that repair, and then you start utilizing laser therapy that stimulates the cellular activity, increasing that, reducing that time, makes sense. But what I wasn't aware is how many people benefited by itself. Some patients with just a few treatments of laser therapy have tremendous results. And this can be from injuries in your back. I must say both of my children who play sports have used the laser therapy on a regular basis, whether, injury on the soccer field or out on the wrestling mat.
Your son with the rice cooker that tried to take on the plane. It's the side story. Maybe we'll get to that later.
Yes. But of recent, it was my other son wrestling who, injured himself. And you see the swell up and you're worried about your child, right? And how fast are they going to be able to recover? They've got matches coming up. And, so having the ability to utilize that laser therapy brings down that inflammation, just helps that overall healing process.
Yeah. And then again, this is a service you offer by appointment at at your clinics.
Correct.
I mean, I use it quite a bit when I had the stem cells done to help the stem cells produce a little bit faster. And actually just anytime I've got something wrong, I just go by and see Stacey. She rubs me with that laser. And I've always feel better after I've had a couple sessions there. It's really amazing how well it works.
Now, when someone uses your services and they go to your clinics, who is actually administering these peptides and stem cells? Are we talking about doctors, nurses?
Kevin.
Yeah, me. Wow, that was good, Stacey. You're picking up. I swing by on my days off. Put my mask
you still
on. Scrub my hands.
Hell no.
Wow, that was a good one. Nice work.
Yeah. You see a licensed medical professional. Our nurse practitioners, physician assistants, or a physician will do the initial intake with the patient, review their medical history, physical. And then again, sometimes people are coming in for a particular injury. Sometimes people are coming in for overall wellness. So depending on what it is they're looking to achieve, then the provider will put together the treatment plan. If it's something like laser therapy, that's administered from our nurse, that she sees you on a regular basis, and that girl knows her peptide. So it's kind of like a free education session while you're in there.
The first student of mine that went to you, I can't remember what his name is now.
And I can't say it.
Yeah. So he came back to me and said that you guys fixed him 100%.
Yeah.
He was very, very happy.
And he still won't come over.
He still won't come, right?
Well, look, for me, it's about being poor. Okay?
I still swear by the peptides. And to be honest with you, like, you know, I think about folks at home. I love you guys, but think about all the things you blow money on extemporaneously on dumb shit. Like, I can't tell you over the last few years of my life. Now I'm a gym owner. I actually have a little bit of money to throw around on myself. Like, I can't tell you the benefits of investing in your own health. All of you, it's called the old man grappling off for a reason. All of us are in our 40s ish. I'm not yet, but I'm 47. Folks already know my last show was my birthday show.
Yeah.
But as we get older, like, it's imperative at this point in our lives that we start to recognize we have to start thinking about what comes next for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. I'm sure all of you at home, and some of you might even be that person, but it's not too late, have seen people that did not take care of themselves that are now in the next 20 years, 10, 15 years. I see people that were like, you know, a couple years older than I am with their kid that now can't get out of bed. They can't walk.
Right.
They can't run. They can't bend over. Take the time, invest in yourself. And yeah, you know, sometimes things aren't cheap, but they're definitely worth the investment you put in yourself.
All I got to do is just not buy a couple of guns this month.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Come on, Sonny. Where's your gun ball at?
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, if you think about it, how often do you go out to eat and, you know, go out and the check is $100, right? And then multiply that by, you know, 4 times in a month and, you know, and really what the return is. Because like you said, you're getting older. That is happening. Your cells are diminishing.
Yeah,
You are breaking
expensive.
down.
I believe you guys have treatments for around $500 or something like that.
Yeah, depending on what the treatment is, you know, a few $100s, you know, for a monthly supply. You know,
Right.
our laser therapy is very inexpensive. And the beauty is once you're established with us, especially for our athletes, you know, let them know once you've been established with us, you can call us or call Stephanie and say, I did it again. I hurt myself again.
Right.
Can I get in?
I can't tell you how many times I have these guys at the gym who hurt their knee and they're too poor to get an MRI. And it's like, look, you know, you probably don't even need surgery, you know, especially the young guys.
Yeah.
You know, the young guy twists his knee up and, you know, he's like, I need to put my membership on pause. And so he puts his membership on pause and he comes back a month later. He's like, oh, I was fine. It was just a sprain.
Yeah,
Right.
well, no, that's what we told
Right.
you.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, bro.
Exactly what we
Yeah.
said.
You're 19 years old. You didn't tear anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, or, you know, maybe it was just a minor injury, you know, and a lot of the times, you know, because patients will ask too, do I have to bring in my MRI? And if you have the diagnostics already done, bring it in. But a lot of the times, you know, orthopedic providers, they're trained in it. You know, they're very familiar and can recognize if it's a tear or what the condition likely is. You know, for your folks, some of them, like I said, it may even just be a few laser sessions that can help to bring down that inflammation because they are in very good health.
I'm learning a lot today because I had no idea that you guys treated something like tinnitus. Is there anything else that you can think of that would be, you know, that would surprise people for the, you know, the kind of things that you work on?
Yeah. Brain fog. So when you look at mental clarity, dementia.
Really?
Yes. So there's a lot of studies out there that, you know, if you can early onset dementia, there's abilities through peptides. There's a lot of studies that have been done with stem cell therapy with Alzheimer's. So there's so many conditions that you didn't even really think of.
So on that, you know, my father died of dementia. So it worries me that, you know, as I get older, I could end up getting something like that. Is there a preventative?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that really gets into your realm of peptides, you know, because again, looking, you know, the peptides are really helping with that cellular level, that regeneration. And that's what's breaking down when you start having dementia. And so it's getting into those signaling factors to be able to enhance that.
What were we talking about?
That's literally probably the only reason he said that. He didn't care about anything he said past that. He just wanted to make it. He was waving that one hook.
I am very serious about that because it worries me.
It is.
One of the things I started doing was I downloaded these apps on the phone that would, like throw math questions at you and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just to try to keep my brain sharp, you know, that's why, I used to be, before I became an arm breaker, I used to be a software engineer in my previous life. And so I'll still continue with software engineering on the side, just not for any companies, just for myself, so I can keep my brain sharp. Yeah. Because it really worries me that, because when my dad was my age, he wasn't doing anything.
Right.
He's maybe still working, but he worked in a factory. He worked at Colt Firearms for 35 years, and then he came home and drank beers and watched football.
But that's also what you did in the 60s and 70s. That's how people lived their lives. There was no such thing as exercise.
I'm trying to keep my brain active, and just knowing that there's other things that I can do is really encouraging. So I'm actually really encouraged by this conversation with the tinnitus and with learning about the brain fog and dementia. So
multiple times he's like, I have that.
Yeah, I've got. Wait a minute,
paying you guys.
I've got
that. And then we can get me into that Benjamin Button treatment. I'll be really happy.
Reverse aging treatment. So quickly again, before we leave, because we're going to start wrapping things up here. We've kept you long enough in our little dungeon of success over here. Well, let's get back to
the truck is pulling over soon.
This is a classy lady. She didn't want to come hang out in our storage unit in Riverview. Let's maybe you could just give a few tips in general to our folks at home, the guys at home that watch the show, to help them over the course of the next 10 to 15 years to be able to increase their vitality and live better, healthier lives. Some of the things that you could recommend to help in that stage.
Yeah. It comes down to harnessing your own body's inner powers, right? And how is that accomplished? It comes into the exercise that we do, the food that we eat, and I think you may have a nutritionist coming on the show.
Yeah, I do have
soon.
a nutritionist coming on soon. Good segue. Wow, maybe we just bring her back every week. Yes. Sonny, you might be out of a job.
I help with setup, segment. But, it also comes into sleep and, really just having the ability to continue those body processes that are naturally going to break down. So when people ask me, what is the best anti-aging regimen? For me, my recommendations, and again, not a provider, is, utilizing IV administration of the exosomes along with a peptide regimen, depending on what specifically you're trying to accomplish. But there are peptides such as your NAD, which studies have shown the diminishment of NAD is the true cause of aging, along with supplementation. So we, I had no desire to have a number of different supplements inside of our locations, but we have two specifically. One is a joint formula that is specifically designed to help with your joints and the hyaluronic acid and all the items that you need to have healthy joints. And then we also have our ALA supplement, which is your alpha lipoic acid. And that really helps with healing all across the body. Again, for our neuropathy patients, it helps with nerve pain. So really, if you're talking about vitality, you only live once. Live it to the fullest. Utilize things that are available to you to feel like yourself again. And that's what happens as you get older. You just don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like you could run with the kids like you used to or wrestle on the mat like you used to. You feel more tired, more fatigue. There's options out there for you to feel great again.
Yeah, I can go for about 5 hard minutes with a young guy. And if I can't tap him out in that time, I start to sweat a little bit. Like,
But, modern science has come a long way. Like we're seeing, we're looking at the life expectancy constantly growing. I mean, I don't know exact numbers, but I can't imagine it was much higher than 68, 70 years old, less than 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, right? We're at the point now where it has to be up into the 80s. I don't know the exact, again, I should have maybe done some research, but speculating, it has actually gone up over the last 20, 30 years. And with the increases of the new science with stem cells, peptides, testosterone replacement, and then just the overall understanding of how we keep our bodies healthy with good nutrition and constant exercising. Like there is no reason to hit that point in your life when you turn 45 and you just say to yourself, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
Game over. I'm just going to go down
Yeah.
with a blazer gory and drink my beer and accept the fact that I'm an old man. And we don't have to do that. And
Right.
But what we do have to do is make a stand. We do have to do the things that need to be done. And with people like Stacey and LeHeal Biogenix, I think we can help ourselves get there a little bit better. So yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Sonny, you got anything else you want to add?
I eat 2 or 3 apples a day. It helps.
Well, let's
Should we say hello to our sponsors?
say hello to our sponsors. Let's get them out the way here real quick.
Well, no judges needed. We got your sign.
We
back
actually
up.
sign it. Well, don't never say never. We still got time for it to fall. We do it by we got a solid 5 minutes for that thing to fall over on us now. But yeah, if you're interested in apparel, we have No Judges Needed. No Judges Needed is amazing. It's a jiu-jitsu black belt owned and operated company. It has been owned and operated. God, it's got to be at least 15 years now they've been open. 10, 12 years they've been open now. Right? Yeah, Sonny, Troy has been around before there really was a jiu-jitsu protocol to be selling
he's been
things.
doing this shit
He's been doing it for a long, long time. And he has been our guy from the beginning. Troy, I love you. If you're interested, go hit up No Judges Needed for your rash guards, gis, and anything jiu-jitsu oriented. Obviously, Stacey from LeHeal Biogenix. It's been amazing having you on here. They've been a sponsor of ours for a long time. If you need anything from them, I use their products. Sonny is going to start using their products. Many of my students and many people that I know have used their products and have nothing but good things to say about them. It's a very good company. If you're interested in peptides or stem cells, hopefully today gave us a little more reference on those. Go see Stacey and the folks over at LeHeal.
And I'm absolutely going to use this podcast when I talk about the company to my students. I'm going to say, look, watch this podcast. Everything you want to know
Yes.
is going to be here. So.
Yes. And it's also LeHeal.com. So LEHEAL.com.
Also, like to thank Mountain Dew for sending us
New sponsor for Mountain Dew. Sonny showed up with a bag full of Mountain Dew, some donuts.
I'm drinking water. Yeah.
the smart one.
Vitality.
Classic Coaching. Classic Coaching is my nutritionist, Connor Kovacs. We're actually having him on, not next show, because me and Sonny are going to do a solo show. Then we've got our next guest is going to be Connor, I believe. We'll see how that goes down. But he's a nutritionist. He has a great company, Classic Coaching, classiccoaching.com. If you want to check him out for your nutritionist needs, he's absolutely amazing. I have literally changed my life working with him over the last 6 to 8 months. I can see a huge difference in my energy levels, my recovery, my overall fat loss and muscle gain. He'll set you up a diet plan. He gives you coaching. Really great guy. And I'm super happy to have him on the show and have him working with me.
And of course, Rewire.
Charlie Keenan. We had Charlie on last episode with a guest 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the last guest episode.
Yeah, whatever. Sonny,
I know what you meant.
You know, folks at home, they're following me. Charlie's great. Without question, the best trainer, physical therapist I've ever worked with. If you're an athlete and you're looking to improve your game, you have a pre-existing injury or a new injury that you need to get worked on, go see Charlie. That kid is absolutely amazing at what he does, and he's super talented and cares. So it's a weird thing you don't see a lot. Like, he actually cares about you. He actually cares about you getting better and who you are in a whole, instead of just putting you in and ringing out the back door again when your knee gets better. Then finally, Active Health and Wellness. Mobile IV unit. Miss Melinda.
Yes.
She's got COVID this week. I feel bad for her. She's been sick for the last 2 weeks. But she will be
That's
better.
still a thing?
Yeah, it's still a thing. She'll go get you some peptides to take care of that. But if you're interested in some mobile IV work in the Tampa area, Newport Richey, Trinity area, she'd probably come down to Braden for you if you pay her enough. She'll come down, give you mobile IV, get you straight. IV therapy is a huge thing. Vitamin bags, all those other things like that. So other than that, let's thank our guest.
Yes, thanks for coming on,
Thanks
Stacey.
for coming on,
I know it was a
Stacey.
leap of faith to walk through this dungeon here.
Stacey Heald from
Heald.
Oh my God, I did it again. How did I do that again? I even practiced in my head. Stacey Heald from LeHeal Biogenix, co-founder.
You have a peptide that will help with that.
You guys have a nice night. Thank you, Stacey, for your time. It was a great show.
I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys. Have a good one. Rock you.
Oh.